which I actually want to come in on that. I thought special guest was accusing some of these bears of being narcs, man. Just because of a misquote. But what's up, everybody? How are you guys doing today? Let's see if we're gonna have any technical difficulties with the way this opens up. Hell yeah, no one knows. Because we're the champions. That's how we roll.
We could check, make sure we actually have the two to you.
Yeah, we should be. I've shared the video to the Discord. So file on in, you Murkies. It's story time. It's story time.
Y'all like cocaine?
Y'all like cocaine? You like
y'all
bears?
Like
bears? You like bears?
Can y'all imagine a bear in a linen suit and aviators with a MAC-10?
No. I want to ball around like a mix of Gaddafi and Joe Exotic and just have bears. Look at this bear needs a petty, dude.
Yeah, he's looking rough. I think he's been dipping into his supply.
To be fair, the bear you were talking about when we started the show did look like a straight up narc-ass bear.
He did.
Where's his little narc-ass at? He's up in trees, spying on koalas, dude. We see you out there. Look at him. This narc-ass bear.
Well, yeah, it was a brown bear. It was a brown bear whose stomach was totally packed with cocaine next to a satchel that was wholly empty. Now, I don't believe that bear ate 75 pounds of cocaine, 35 kilos of cocaine, so roughly 77. I believe that somebody came along, saw it, took the cocaine, left, and didn't report the bear.
Oh, shit.
But where did this bear get all of this cocaine?
Yeah, where'd the cocaine... How did it just find a satchel full of cocaine, Pablo EscoBear?
The DEA has been employing bears for years. Now, in a satchel just on that run.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, there were lots of satchels. Like, he jumped out, set his plane to autopilot to crash into the Atlantic Ocean. It did not happen. And proceeded to apparently not even pull his backup chute. He didn't have a main chute. It just thudded down into somebody's driveway on, I believe, let me check my notes here. Yes, September 11th, 1985.
Whoa. Damn.
His name was Andrew Carter Thornton II. He was born October 30th, 1944 to an old money horse breeding family in Kentucky. He wasn't amazing or anything. He was a good student. So he goes, he serves.
He was weird. It's just I hate government types when you can't get any fucking background on them, and it's always like split in the middle.
Well, 64 to 68 is when he's deployed. He's sent down to the Dominican Republic, cocaine land.
Yep, coke land, baby.
Gets hurt nominally, musters out immediately. Now, the thing about most of these types of people, and I want to make this as an aside, this is where I think that this guy probably got sheep dipped into the brand new anti-narcotics bureaucracy that was put in starting in 68.
Titty balls, okay.
Like with the Bureau of Narcotics and Dangerous Drugs.
Okay. So he gets, okay.
Because when he comes back, he works on the horse farm for a little bit. Doesn't find it to his liking. He gets his pilot's license, takes up parachuting.
So he's got an adventurous character.
Well, he doesn't need money. He comes from old money. At one point in 1981, he got arrested on $1 million bond and just leveraged a couple of racehorses against it to get to walk out.
Whoa.
But so that's not doing it for him. So he gets a job on the NARC squad.
God damn it, narcs.
He immediately becomes a police officer, gets put on their new NARC squad because that's where all the action's going to be. And you've got to understand, the first war on drugs, 68, like that, it was so fucking dirty, hairy, like no rules, totally cowboy. And this guy was considered brutal, just vicious.
Is he a square of squares or a rogue cowboy? Good or bad?
I've come to the conclusion in reading about this, and this is such a big story, there's no way we're touching on all of it today. But that most likely Thornton thought of himself as a patriot.
Okay.
And that while he might not have had a problem with drugs, or he may have, I don't know, that he thought that he was doing something to help combat international terrorism networks that also utilize drug smuggling through the newly formed DEA once the 70s roll around.
Gotta know it to fight it, gotta have skin in the game to play
They do this all the time, and it's hard for me to believe that a lot of them don't believe it. right? Like, I'm sure a lot of them also think it's a load of shit. But a lot of people are like, no, I'm not going to let all of this destroy my country because I believe in that. I might be some sort of, like, elitist sociopath, but I do believe in the nation, and I believe, and they believe they're coming, like, they truly believe they're coming from a good place.
Yeah.
You know, and when I say that, I don't want to conflate people I've known in the military with that, you know? But consider what you ask of the military. You ask the military to be killers for you.
Yeah.
Like, and then you say, don't worry, we've come up with some reasons to say that you're actually great and not terrible.
Yeah.
And that's what we ask them.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
Well, that's the type. That person was our most elite special forces.
Yeah.
Like the Green Berets, when they first started calling them Green Berets. Yeah, man. Like, that's going to be a prime example of somebody who thinks that way to my mind.
A lot of people take that military enlistment over fucking prison time and end up, like, really, really doing something
in
their life.
Absolutely. And I'd say another thing to do with that is, you know, a lot of times you have people who do go in with good intentions, but after they're within a corrupt organization, they no longer see anybody as good guys, and they're like, well, I guess I'm doing as good as I can for myself then. I was wrong, and I'm here now.
Cocaine Bear movie has Knoxville connection. They go in there talk about the kid.
Oh yeah, they're making a movie about this subject right now.
Oh.
And I can tell you right, it's not going to go into, you know, like I work for or something. I'm absolutely certain it won't go into a whole lot of these connections, man, because they're going to make it a humanistic-centered drama about a bunch of rich boys who were terrible and how they turned on each other.
It's going to be more about an interpersonal.
Hey, it goes all the way up. I want to say the assistant to the head of the legislature in Kentucky. That's who Henry Vance, who's the next guy that's introduced in our story, is.
Oh, okay.
He just died last year.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, he's a slimy politician that managed to weasel his way out of all of this.
Oh, shit.
So, speaking of him, good time to introduce Henry Vance. Newly formed NARC squad. And in 1968, Henry Vance joins that NARC squad. See, he'd been a really affable guy. He's very charming, but didn't have good grades, basically, right? But he had a well-connected, rich family. All these people ran in the same circles. So his dad gets him a job at the sheriff's office.
Oh, shit.
And he gets joined on with this, and so now this young man is sort of looking up to this dude. And he's not just looking up to Thornton. And he's not just looking up to him. Vance becomes like the mouthpiece of the NARC squad. He's the guy on the news talking about the bus. Thornton's delivering.
Yeah.
And the whole time, they start ripping off drug dealers. Thornton starts flipping it. Well, at this point, like during this time period, our friend Bradley, what's his name? Bradley Bryant? He's gone off to Las Vegas to make his way, right?
Okay.
And his brother gets him in contact with a bunch of people. He starts rubbing shoulders with a bunch of drug dealers, gangsters.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
And he gets hooked up with, I want to say it's not the Marcellos. I can't remember, and I'm not just going to shoot an Italian name out there. But one of the crime families out there, and then eventually through them gets hooked up to the Chagras. Now, the Chagras are interesting because, like everybody, this ties back to JFK. They were on Marcello's payroll. They were working with Marcello.
Oh, okay.
So once Marcello, during this time period, is running a hit, or once the White House is running a hit squad, killing all the French connection, right?
Yeah.
Marcello's setting up this Mexican connection, all in the background of this. All while this part of this Mexican connection of these guys getting connected and flying in marijuana. It's not just marijuana, also blow, but a ton of weed.
Whoa.
Like, just so much fucking weed. Like, they were the biggest importers of marijuana in the U.S.
Okay.
Up until the late 70s. So, during this time period, Vance gets in trouble. He tries to forge an order for 25 revolvers.
Oh, shit.
Under the sheriff's name, right? Gets kicked out, but I don't believe he saw any time for it. Now, let me check my notes. All right.
Crazy fucking story.
So, okay. Yeah, Vance became Thornton. Thornton was brutal. He'd steal weed. They're caught forging signatures. But a year after that, Vance has his job in the Kentucky legislature. Oh. A year after being kicked off the police force for trying to forge signatures. Now, around this time, it starts getting wild. You don't just have all of this drug importing and them making all of this money and them just like... And dude, word's on the street. The backdrop of this is Lexington, Kentucky. Okay. During this same time period, they are...
Not a place you associate with fucking big-time drug hustlers.
Do you associate it with William F. Burroughs? He spent a fair amount of time there.
That's true. Aaron Thompson went through there.
That's because the local mental hospital was an MK Ultra hospital.
Oh shit, went through there. Hunter Thompson's from there. He's from Kentucky.
Yep. So this local hospital is being run by one of these MK Ultra doctors at the same time. Now, Bradley Bryant's nominally associated with the Marines and CIA. He claimed when he got busted at one point he was working deep cover CIA.
Holy shit. Okay.
Right?
Whoa.
And it's all in the background of this Southern aristocracy and old money connected to the intelligence old boy networks against a backdrop of a fucking MK Ultra hospital.
Yeah.
Like where they're doing all sorts of drug research. And that was the thing about this hospital. It was known if you were a junkie on the street, right? And you couldn't get a fix. You could go to see this doctor that was operating the drug trials at the hospital, and he'd run you through some LSD tests, and then instead of paying you in money, they'd pay you in heroin.
Whoa.
Absolutely. And when asked about it later, I'll have to look up the doctor at some point, but he said, well, there was no precedent at that point for paying research subjects.
What the fuck?
Yeah, that was his whole explanation.
That's fucking twisted as shit. You know what I mean? Like, that's twisted as all hell.
And so fast forward to 1979, and the China Lake... Where is it? Oh, wait, let's not fast forward there yet. So during this time period, Thornton has gotten his law degree, become a practicing lawyer, quit the force, and he and Bradley Bryant form a bodyguard outfit called Executive Protection.
Oh shit. Yeah, sorry.
Oh, was that your trigger word?
No, I guess so. I'm allergic to that level of conspiracy.
So Executive Protection is like a high-end bodyguard outfit for rich people, celebrities, corporate types, right?
Okay.
They've got their own planes and all this, and it's really being run as a smuggling operation. Like, they're really networking. They're really bodyguards.
Okay.
But they're really also using this to fly people all over the world and fly drugs back.
Wild.
Yeah. Well, I'm
makes sense.
I'm going to tell you what
I mean, like, fucking...
If that's happening during that time period, mid to late 70s, the CIA knows about it. It's got their blessing. It's got to have their blessing. They would have shut it down for competition otherwise.
You have too many coordinating, like, as strange as this sounds, music scene stories that correspond with that having had to have happened.
Oh, well, you want to talk about that? You know, the phenomenal hero of our story, the bear. Jumping ahead a little bit, at one point this bear, once they find it, the people who took possession of the bear decided it would be a waste and had it stuffed.
Whoa.
Eventually it gets lost from their inventory, shows up in a pawn shop, and Waylon Jennings buys it.
Whoa.
It's on display today. He no longer has it. At some point he sold it to like a theme park in Kentucky called Funland. And it's a photo op bear now.
That's fucking crazy. Here's just a little bit of bear B-roll from OKI. But
yeah, what you're seeing here, this guy walks out and there's just this dead guy. Yeah, I got a list of what he had on him. had night vision goggles that had been stolen from the China Lake Naval Weapons Center. That's a story that ties into like Mitch Wirbel.
Whoa.
Has 35 kilos of cocaine, $4,500 in 1985 money, 6 Krugerrands, knives, 2 pistols, a bulletproof vest, and Gucci loafers.
Baller, number one. Gucci fucking loafers, bitch.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Everyone who knew him said that he would think that the way he died was hilarious and befitting a warrior.
Befitting a warrior, befitting a goddamn celebrity, baby. Holy shit. Dude lived like a doctor.
No, he did. He did.
Holy shit. So, that's how this bear got this swag?
Yeah, he's coming back, and there's an indication maybe he was double-crossed. Maybe he was killed with a poison and got pushed out of the plane. There's no indication he tried to even pull his chute.
Whoa. So he was dead before he even left that plane.
There's a good chance there wasn't enough blood to it that splattered out like it should have from that drop. There's a lot of things that are a bit weird about the actual circumstances of how the body was.
Yeah, okay. Okay. Fucking crazy.
And this was supposed to be, his last run. He was trying to get out. Damn. And so it sounds like somebody sewed him up to me. Because keep in mind, this guy Vance, man, he went way up. You can like, and I urge people to really research this because it gets crazier. Like one of them, I was trying to look it up right beforehand, and I went into a black hole of information, man. But one of them's girlfriend shot another one. Yeah, trying to hide all this once it came out. There were multiple indications, and they had been busted a couple times before and just basically walked on it, which is always the indicator that you're really a narc.
Yeah.
Which is why I say I think this guy was running a Fast and Furious style op with all these people. And he's like, well, I'm going to engage in crime and get back my stuff because I also know that if I don't have my own escape fund, that there's a chance I could become a patsy.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of these people realize that.
Yeah. God damn. Dude. So, the bear, didn't eat that much.
There's just, like, I don't think a bear's stomach can hold 75 pounds of cocaine.
Gotcha.
And they said it was packed top to bottom. Like, for fucking 10 minutes, this bear was the biggest problem anyone on Earth could ever run into.
Look, when I hear somebody say, like, there's no way somebody could ingest that much cocaine, I just think about how good cocaine is. Because it's so good, I might be able to eat myself dead on cocaine.
I just...
But you'd overdose before you filled your stomach?
Well, like, even if it crammed its stomach full, its stomach doesn't have the volume to hold a duffel bag of cocaine.
So it'd have to be literally, like, if it ate it, it would be full all the way to the top of its esophagus.
Yeah, and they said it was jam-packed full.
God damn. I mean, cocaine's really good. Is the thing. Like, it's a hell of a fucking drug. Like, I mean, if there is a drug out there that could make a bear eat 75 pounds of it, it's probably the thing that makes rats starve.
Yeah, it makes rats happily starve themselves.
But still, the whole for fucking some smuggling to have happened. Like, what a convenient excuse.
Dude, and when you look at this time period and this era, right? Like, it's almost certain to me that these people are associated with the OSS operatives like Lucien Conian, who had taken over the DEA.
Yeah.
Right? And were operating one of these... Where are they going? South America. Where do we know all the Nazis are? South America. Who made drugs for forever? In South America.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? And we know they're there. We know they're there because during the same time period that they're operating, Klaus Barbie's taken over, is operating in and working toward taking over fucking Bolivia.
Yeah, we know there's Nazis down there.
Yeah, we know during the same time period Mingle is operating. We know that the rat lines lead to there. And we know there's a ton of Nazis that were down there trying to do the same thing.
Man.
And that they operated through the use of stimulants and through selling it. Like, they created narco states in order to make money.
Fucking A.
So when people talk about secret wars down in South America, I'm like, yeah, it's against Nazis. I'm not acting like we're the greatest guys on Earth. In fact, I think we realized we unleashed a problem and we're doing our best to never have to fucking take responsibility for it.
Yeah. There's Go take an allergy pill in a second. Sorry to have an allergy attack in the middle of this thing.
That happens. Good lord. But no, and it's astounding to me. Like that's basically really the long and short of Cocaine Bear.
That's fucking.
But really consider all the parallels just to the things that we've already spoken about on this show. Like you're starting to, I would hope, see the general context take place of how these groups organize.
They're rogue as fuck.
Yeah, because like the company had 5 or 6 people that they talk about, but when you're moving that many people, you've got fucking employees, my man.
Yeah.
Like you don't have a $55 million business in 1978 with no damn employees. There's no computers to take advantage of to do all that work.
It's the same as repugnant ideology. It always ties back to episode 0, where you kind of explain like this is the same MO.
It's the same MO. Wait, what do they have there? An aircraft and logistics back end. Yeah. Like if you don't think a Cessna could be a warplane, I heartily suggest you look at the history of warfare starting in the 70s, all throughout Africa.
You didn't live through 9/11 if you don't think a plane can be a missile.
Yeah.
A plane can be a missile, any plane can be a fucking missile.
I mean, look at one thing we glossed over. In 1979, this group was associated with a break-in on the China Lake Naval Weapons Center, which is a serious armory. They took a lot of machine guns. You'll hear night vision goggles a lot, and they did take night vision goggles. They also took starlight scopes, which were infrared scopes. Oh. Dude, in 1979, this was all hot shit technology.
Yeah, that's new as shit.
Like, they didn't even use that tech in Aliens.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that's how little it had truly penetrated into the sphere. If you had that, you had a superior operational advantage on any battlefield, and the military wouldn't just let that go. But they might try and smuggle some of it to drug smugglers and other of it to Libya. And that was the thing that was going on during that time period. And with that robbery, there's a big conflation about where it all went.
Yeah.
But we know one person who's tied to it, a guy on a whole other coast, fucking smuggling cocaine.
That's true.
And working with a guy in the highest echelons of Kentucky's state government to do it.
Yeah.
This is the whole period that the MENA connection's happening for those Clinton fans.
That's true, too. Yeah. Real quick, isn't Predator one of the first films, and it has government clearance that depicts infrared technology?
That's the first one. Like, I am certain that we have seen that effect utilized here and there in film before that, but you never saw anything like a soldier using it from their perspective. It would be like an emplacement that happened to have a camera with night vision that they were controlling.
Yeah.
Like, that would be the closest you
like
got to any
James Bond shit would look like shit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It'd
be totally fake done. It's not like
yeah, which I think they were just trying to normalize the public to the concepts involved so that it wouldn't seem bizarre. But shit they already had. You know, it's no different than normalizing you to use a fucking computer. People in 1985 wouldn't know fuck all to do with a modern desktop.
Yeah, that's true.
They don't have the metaphors yet.
Yeah. People are, it's interesting that it feels like the UK productions that had like early uses of infrared have almost a this is to keep you safe vibe.
Yeah.
And then you have like cut over to like an American production like Predator, which is like this is tech from the enemy.
Well, and in the background of when that's going on, you've got the big cocaine drug war in the U.S. and that's when the police truly start getting militarized nationwide is in that drug war.
Yeah, they don't want people actually conceptualizing the fact that the police might have this technology and use it on civilians.
No, they want you to conceptualize it from the perspective of an enemy hunting people you like.
Yeah, which is, I've seen a bunch of thermal image of like cop chases.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, I've seen a ton of that now, like helicopter image.
Yeah. That's which is wild to me that, again, like we use what was mystified as like the eyesight of a fucking predator.
Yeah, and 10 years later cops have it on their helicopters.
Yeah. And this is a film I'm talking about with a high government clearance.
Yeah, once again, to get access to display all of that technology, the government pretty much gets a line item veto on your script. And not necessarily depictions of infrared, but all of the vehicles that make this be sold as a realistic movie. Like, you know when it's not a real Humvee. You know when it's not a real aircraft that we use. It makes it look cheap and ruins your sense of immersion.
Yeah.
They're aware of that.
Yeah. What's the movie about the movie Blow? What's that guy, George Young?
Yeah.
You said at the top of the show, if you believe this kind of thing happens, and it's like, well, we all enjoy the film Blow, and for the most part, every American I've met seems to accept the fact that shit happened.
Yeah.
And that film can't happen without what you're talking about.
Well, and that's because the narrative there is that there's maybe a rogue operation associated with the Air America types, but it's rogue, it's not sanctioned, it's tiny, and this guy just happened to be the dude who found out about it. We're going to tell you a fun little story about it that's really a human interest story.
Yeah.
Good evening, Munica.
Hello. Welcome. We're opened up to the back end of the chat. I think we're probably gonna hit like an hour and a half seas today.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. So you guys can go ahead and pop in here. We're here in the lounge too in Discord. I see you there, Justin. What's up, baby? If you're near your microphone, I'm good at catching people taking a piss. It's like my favorite thing.
Just pulled up at home.
Fuck yeah, brother.
But it's astounding to me because now they're getting to the point that they're going to make movies about it to spin, and they have been to spin the narrative. Whether it's Blow with Johnny Depp and Paul Rubens, or it's Cocaine Bear, which is what's about to come out. And I'm giving a movie review without seeing it. I'm going to bet $5 right now that they're going to make it just a human story about betrayal amongst rich friends who were too entitled.
Yeah, I got a feeling you're right. Saw some clips. When you type in Cocaine Bear into YouTube, you get a bunch of Hollywood hype.
And that is
that movie.
Absolutely a part of that story. But it doesn't really tie into the implications of, these guys walk all the time on serious fucking raps,
Yeah.
And why so? And why do they end up once again the fucking Vance? What's his name? I can just remember his damn first name or last name. Henry Vance. He died last year along with somebody else who was associated with this. Apparently, I was reading this right before I got on here, just days before.
Whoa.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's like
people attached to the Cocaine Bear story are dying.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Well, H.W. Bush for most of this story was either vice president or head of the CIA.
Wild. If you were to type in death, Hollywood death, or a real vague search for this, you'd probably just get Alec Baldwin shit right now.
Oh yeah. Good luck looking any of that.
Well, he's, I believe, friends with what's-her-name, was in Pitch Perfect as the new Rita Repulsa. She was in Wet Hot American Summer, blonde. Man, she's in something.
Y'all know.
Yeah. Elizabeth something, I believe. I think she's producing or involved with the Cocaine Bear movie.
Elizabeth Banks.
Elizabeth Banks. She's associated with the production in some manner, I think as a producer. And, her and Alec Baldwin are friends. Just saying.
Yeah.
Just saying.
But yeah, no, you're not going to see much but Baldwin right now.
Yeah, which is weird, considering they're making a movie about a cocaine-fueled bear.
Hey, look, maybe here's a theory. What if Martin Sheen's decided he can't do the role again?
Oh shit!
So they're going to recast it.
Oh,
and they got to get Baldwin, out of the public picture for a while.
Baldwin's gonna be the new Trumpski.
He's already been. Does a great job.
He does a really good job at being Trump. If there's a better audition, there's no better audition tape than his work on SNL. He actually, it seemed like, helped Trump find things to lean on with his own speaking voice.
All Baldwin truly wants is for people to say the name Baldwin like they do Kennedy.
That's true. I do believe that. He gives me that vibe. He wants to build that, that kind of, potential nepotistic legacy thing, which is again, I never fault somebody for wanting that. It just he seems like he's somebody who might. I fear the depths he might go to make that possible. I won't lie, because of how wealthy and popular he is.
Dude, after hearing him scream at his child in a voicemail.
Yeah, like I fear the depths he might sink to make his dreams come true. That's all. Like, most people of that kind of caliber, I normally feel that way about, where I'm like, man, they could.
I think he'd be a lot more Joe Kennedy than JFK.
That same, yeah. Yeah, no, say that.
But we already know he's the one behind the trigger.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, he's gonna save all the getting wet shit for Steven or whatever.
Oh.
But now he's reformed, right? Stephen Baldwin's, isn't he the one that's doing skater church stuff?
Yeah, no, I thought he had been for a while. I think his last movie was John Carpenter's Vampires. Like his last, movie.
Yeah. That's so weird. I'm sure he's in some direct-to-video Christian stuff.
Oh, I know. I'm sure he's been working since then.
But I know the last time I saw him, I thought was in the back of like a...
He and Kevin Sorbo should get what's his name, Ben Shapiro, to finance a film.
I swear I saw an interview with him. He had like a traveling fucking like alt kid Christian, like traveling around to different churches, like pop-up truck thing.
Oh, so he's like Chris Angel, Christ freak.
Yeah, yes. And but like, it's like, no, just come hang out here, learn about Jesus, play Tony Hawk, whatever. But it's like, I saw that right before COVID popped off. So it's like, dude, you made another bad investment. What a bad investment. What a bad business plan. I get it, like live performance for sure. Like you're getting to actually like interact and make some change happen in real life. Comes from a good place, but boy, I know we all couldn't see COVID coming, but it's almost like the universe was trying to tell Stephen Baldwin, like, hey, stop.
Just quit while you're where you're still at.
Hey, stop trying to make Stephen Baldwin happen. It's not gonna happen. It ain't happening.
Oh.
We field tested it. We all love Biodome.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? You get into heaven for Biodome. And if you don't have money in the bank for royalties for that, what happened?
Look, here's what you should do, man. Whatever you want to do, however much you're going to invest, have a friend invest twice as much of your money in whatever the opposite is.
Yeah. This is not to... while we're kind of on conspiracy trains, we kind of hopped over into entertainment a little bit.
Yeah, that's fine.
I wish there was a way to press charges against an employer when you have an employee that can't fucking read. Right? So, like, when you have an R. Kelly and you're fucking a high-end manager who moves millions of dollars a night for this artist.
Yeah.
Get him a tutor, bro!
Yeah.
That is the meanest means of control I have ever fucking seen. They didn't get that prostitute new teeth. They didn't teach her how to read. They kept her as in it as possible.
No, absolutely.
I'm referring to R. Kelly as a prostitute because that is how his management treated him, regardless of the crimes he is absolutely guilty of, because he's a horrible person. But he is a horrible person that couldn't read.
Yeah.
What happened?
Dude, no, and they're always thrilled to get a hold of somebody like that. Like, that's somebody who can't read their own contract.
That's evil as shit. Evil as shit.
Well, you get into that whole, we could talk Chicago music conspiracies, because that ties right to industrial.
Yeah.
Like, I've told you the connection to R. Kelly to Ministry, right?
Oh, it's it's Track Studios.
Well, the guy who produced I Believe I Can Fly, and who produced the Space Jam soundtrack, was the original drummer for Ministry. Yeah.
A lot of those industrial drummers ended up as like big industry cats.
Oh yeah, because to do that type of work, you had to know what was industry standard. You didn't have to be able to play a blast beat.
Well, you have to be able to pump it out.
Oh yeah.
Like they actually have the equipment or means to sit behind the equipment and industrial style put it out. You know what I mean? Like actually get releases out there. One thing that cracks me up, and I've known, I'm not going to call them out because this is when I was incredibly young, but I knew some friends that wanted to make an industrial record, but it took them forever. And it's like, do you not see the outright irony. And the fact that it's taking you forever on an industrial
They probably didn't want to
record?
make an industrial record. They wanted to make a particular industrial record they heard.
I mean, I think at the end of the day, a lot of people after the year 2004, when they say they want to make an industrial record, they want to make a Trent Reznor record.
Yeah. Well, that's what it became.
Yeah.
It was either Trent, because everything that wasn't Trent Reznor or Marilyn Manson became new metal.
Yeah.
And that became industrial. It was like, well, how do we mix this with a bouncy hip-hop undertone?
Yeah, and that's why special guests and I kind of have a secret talent. We can channel Trent Reznor in the studio pretty easy.
Yeah.
Like if
Yeah, but I did grow up on it. He's better at it than me, to be honest.
Well, it takes the two of us. I like to sit down and ask him, how hard are you trying to bang this girl? Because that's what you ask when you're emulating Trent Reznor. Are you trying to like fuck her like an animal, or are you like first record, last record with teeth? How you doing it?
Oh, with teeth, you mean tired and sloppy?
Tired and sloppy, old, you know, old.
I saw him on that tour. It was terrible. Just such a bad show.
Hey, people get old.
And guess who was his drummer? John Freese of the Vandals. I caught him on the first show because John Freese had to replace the other drummer who'd like hurt himself or something.
Oh shit!
Yeah, John Freese gets around. That dude. Oh man, has he been on a lot.
Hey, that can kind of build for a sloppy show too, though. By the way, when you got a new drummer on the gig.
Look, you'd think the drummer from A Perfect Circle could play the double bass part from Gave Up or Wish or whichever the last song on Broken is.
Yeah.
But he let the drum machine handle it and sat back and sipped water, and I got mad about it.
Yeah. Yeah. There's
Like, if I can see you, you're supposed to be putting on a show. I don't give a shit about the graphics he paid for.
Well, I bet you he's hitting it later on in that tour. He's probably still kind of learning the.
Well, you know, in the context of that, I was unaware of the recent recasting of the drummer.
Yeah.
So,
because there is time. No matter how famous you are, I have heard stories that when you go to get like somebody to gig for you, and you could be fucking James Brown, and they're like, "Who are you?"
hey, wait, hold on. Out of My Grill says, was John Bonham an industrial musician? R.E. Moby Dick?
Well, I don't think that's the first industrial song, but I mean, it's definitely one of the first big kind of drum solo.
My money on first industrial rock songs, 21st Century Schizoid Man. That's got everything of industrial rock and everything of heavy metal all in one song with a weird jazz backdrop, but it works.
Yeah.
In terms of Moby Dick, I'd have to look into how it was produced. I wouldn't think that. But if you wanted to say that the Beatles were industrial because they were intentionally using noise in their records, you could probably squeak it in. I don't subscribe to that because I'm like, that was just a use of aesthetics.
Yeah.
But they were getting there.
Yeah, one thing that's really weird and a commonality I've been noticing lately as I kind of gear up to make kind of wrap up some music projects is John Bonham did kind of look. When the Levee Breaks, they recorded that Glenn Johns style, but they threw a microphone at the very top of a fucking big staircase.
Yeah.
So the drums caught all this fucking extra reverb. He is kind of an they are kind of production innovators in the realm of drum production.
I would view it like the same as the drums in that Phil Collins song.
Oh, with the slapback reverb kind of thing.
Yeah, where they had all the compression coming through a monitor mic. I would view it as the same thing. It's not exactly industrial in the mindset of how they're putting the music together.
Yeah.
But they are definitely thinking in terms of new sounds in drum technique that definitely led to how, like, all Nine Inch Nails is as hard of gate and a little distortion as you can on the drums.
Yeah.
Everything's super gated, you know?
Yeah.
Like in its gated reverb, it's the same thing on everything.
Yeah, there's little things that because they're dealing with analog equipment back in Led Zeppelin days, so you have this kind of, There are also artists that I feel like were controlled by their management in a very painful way. I look back at the age Jimmy Page was when he kind of ripped off bands like Spirit and other things to make some of these Zeppelin riffs. Mm-hmm. And I wondered to myself, is it cryptomnesia? Is the stress of being so famous and carrying around the previous management from the Yardbirds? Like, is there a level of like?
They toured with Spirit, so I think that happens.
I think he definitely dropped them by the way.
Yeah, I think they toured with Spirit right before recording that, and played some of the same dates in Germany where Spirit did that. And I think when you can play guitar like that, I can watch your hands, remember chords, and have a memory for how you went about intonating it. And if that's the case, then yeah, you definitely get to from one to the other really, really directly.
Yeah.
Ginger Baker.
Ginger Baker's
what a wild man.
Yeah, that's somebody who is incorporating African rhythm into rock and roll in a way that, when you say it now, makes sense because rock and roll it's African in origin, and but he was
Oh yeah.
Now we're gonna sound like the beginning of a Joe Rogan experience.
Well, like hey, that one in particular, was Tommy Dowd. Tommy Dowd suggested to him that he play that particular beat on Sunshine of My Love, but I think that probably kept putting him down the lane of looking at counter rhythms and at indigenous music in terms of for sources of inspiration, because he was specifically told to play a Native American type beat.
Yeah, Dowd said play something tribal.
Yeah,
and for Baker, what that means is, and Ginger, there's a really good documentary out there called Beware of Mr. Baker, and they have a beautiful animated piece where he explains that he got discovered, he was turned on to African rhythm and heroin at the same time.
Yeah.
By a jazz drummer. And so when you say tribal rhythm to Ginger Baker, he goes African tribal rhythm.
Yep.
He's not thinking Native American, he's not thinking, you know what I mean? And no producer at the time, Tommy Dowd in particular, probably didn't mean African. But
no. Tommy Dowd specifically made reference to Gunsmoke.
Yeah. He's like,
like he was talking Native American, but we're talking Ginger Baker. He's gonna take it how he takes it.
Yeah, so he adds this kind of like there's a work. He works with the counter rhythms in a way that's fucking just beautiful. He was also one of the craziest fucking musicians to have ever lived, and he's why I want to drive the Sahara one day.
Dude, he comes across like one of those 60s, 70s fucking mercenaries that worked Africa so hard that you often wonder if he too was like blessed in by the crown and given it's not licensed to kill, just licensed to be wild.
I mean, there's probably a House of Lords connection in his family if I had to gamble.
Like, because, like Ginger Baker's Air Force, that almost seems like thumb in the nose.
Exactly. Well, it's also, it is also hella funny, like, they're all that high.
Oh, yeah.
That they're in the Air Force. You seem so high, you could be a pilot, you're so high, they probably told Ginger Baker.
But, nobody does, espionage like the British, man.
That's true.
Like because they are so cowboy,
and they're
like you compare them to the French or the Russians. Even they're like weaving spiders. They're not unlike say the Yakuza. They're or the Italians. The Italians say, I think it was the Corsicans, not the Italians. The Corsicans say, if you seek revenge before 20 years, you're being hasty.
Yeah.
Right, and not the British. They believe who dares wins.
Yeah. What's also interesting is Ginger Baker, what was he doing in Africa? He was hanging out with Fela Kuti, who was becoming a government figure. He was becoming a political figure. Ginger Baker has an infamous story where he fled into the Sahara one time in a Jeep from his studio that was getting fucking shot at.
Yeah, they were machine gunning his studio.
And he left with active machine gun fire chasing him. Like, there's definitely, I think, something to his story.
He seems as much a cowboy as Warren Zevon going to Spain in 74.
Yeah, and keep in mind the fate of Fela Kuti, not saying Ginger Baker's involved, just,
I will say that during the time period, the British crowd had a lot of interest in Africa because of so many African states that that were no longer considered part of the Commonwealth, and they were very worried they were going to turn to communism.
Yeah. Oh, special guest should text his wife the computer password so she doesn't have to watch from her phone. Right on it.
Gotcha.
Bam. Fascinating. I'm glad that we've moved to rock and roll a little bit in the open discussion, but again, we're talking about Pablo EscoBear in this episode. And for anybody just popping in, Pablo EscoBear is a bear that the government says ate 75 pounds of cocaine. But there's no fucking way it did.
Yeah, there's not enough room.
And cocaine's somewhere. Well, what is not? Well, it's in someone now.
Like, there's no way to know how much cocaine was actually really thrown out, and they recovered a lot of bags filled with 75 pounds of cocaine.
Yeah. Normally, when cocaine goes missing, by the time you found out that it's missing, it's in somebody.
Yeah.
So let's see.
Yeah.
Where is it now?
It's a real fast-moving thing.
Yeah.
You wouldn't think for an inanimate powder. Yet.
You'd think it's a spice fucking melange. What the fuck is making that sound? Is that your phone? Okay, just making sure I'm not losing my mind. So I thought I heard notifications like a motherfucker.
Yeah, but say, my stuff vibrated,
Yeah.
but it wasn't. It's
Pablo EscoBear and his wild hippos.
Apparently, they're sterilizing the hippos.
Yeah.
Which is a shame. I don't believe in invasive species. If it made it here, it should be able to stay.
Yeah.
The environment should adapt.
Look.
Like, you're going to tell me hippos aren't allowed to travel? You're going to tell me hippos aren't allowed to get a master sea vessel charter and pilot their own boat? That hippos aren't allowed to hold seat in our government?
If you've ever been around the wet, belligerent majesty that is a hippo, there's no way anything about that bitch is endangered or in trouble or I don't know. Yeah,
You know what
I'll say sterilize them only because I've seen them eat a lion.
Look, I'm going to say that's reason not to. Like, imagine how mad they might get about that.
They're worse than lions.
So, if I start my own political party, I don't know whether or not to have Cocaine Bear in his shades with a MAC-10 or a hippo in a bowler helmet, like bowler hat as my.
Oh man, you gotta go like Alexander the Great. Lion doing nothing. Male lion not doing shit. Male lion doing nothing. Laying down. Male lion laying down. Why? Useless.
I just got a job offer, I think.
Oh,
for a pound shop.
Snap!
I will buy your stuff for too cheap.
Yeah.
Don't pawn it. Just sell it.
That's true. You're not coming back.
Yeah.
Not in this town. You're not coming back.
Yeah. Don't pawn it. Just sell it.
Yeah. I'm excited about that. That'll be dope.
No, if I like either that or driver, both would be cool.
Yeah. Makes it both be dope.
He says, Monica says, hippo could take out a crocodile.
Yeah, it can. It can eat that bitch like a crawdad.
Yeah, it can act like it doesn't notice a crocodile is biting it.
They're scary as shit. Hippos, like, been researching male lions, as everybody's heard ad nauseum now. And I saw a video of a male lion getting straight up, like, bit in half by one hippo.
Oh, yeah.
Like, one hippo just reached up and was like, oh! Done with you, and I'm like, no.
They've got all that jaw, man.
And the amount of force they can actually produce is crazy.
Also, I want to say, while we're talking about Pablo EscoBear's hippos, man, Pablo EscoBear taking a photo with his kid in front of the White House while he was wanted.
Yeah.
What balls?
Oh, Barry Seal knew where all the powder was. Yeah.
Yeah, no, Barry Seal did.
Boom, boom,
Barry Seal did, and I would not be. I'm pretty sure Barry Seal was associated with Air America, but don't quote me because I'm probably thinking of some other cocaine smuggler in a Cessna.
Yeah.
But I believe he was, and that would put him during that time period.
I like
during the time period that they're doing all that. Yeah, if it's all a general DEA back-end smuggling operation, he'd probably be aware of them.
Yeah. Real quick, out of my grill, I fucking love you for that comment because I didn't realize what they were referring to until I said it aloud. Leaky boom boom down. Informer, a copyright strike melon, a leaky boom boom down. Yeah, dude, great, dude. Fuck yeah. Yeah, you knew where all that snow was hidden, boy.
Oh, why did they never put snow in any episode of Trailer Park Boys? That just seems like a missed opportunity, y'all.
Well, and you know, he is good with his hood, too. Like, he loves the area he's in. He's actually, like, really the community person now. So you'd think he'd end up on that show. Seems right up his alley. I don't know why Snow was never on that shit.
God, I should do a show.
Maybe
on
he was
Barry Seal
offended by
at some
J-Rock.
point, though.
Maybe the creators are like, maybe the crew is like, don't like Snow. Maybe they're Canadians that are like, nah, we're good.
I hadn't put that together, but I bet that's why.
We don't need him. Why? We have J-Rock, baby.
But I'm talking about Barry Seal. I should try and put together a show on that one. I think a lot of the folks who'd be tuned into this are probably already aware of it. But it is a pretty much a huge thing related to this. It's just it ends up being a little bit later. And I think that, what you saw is the model in the 70s of smuggling heroin be applied in the States to cocaine coming up from South America.
Yeah.
I think they'd seen it work there and brought it back.
Yeah.
I don't know how much of these groups were really nominally stay-behind armies, or if they were once again something that was like, well, this operation can be leveraged. Like, you're a stay-behind army, but we need you to be cocaine smugglers, so you're cocaine smugglers.
Yeah, this is how this goes.
Because so many of these people end up tied to our special forces. And look, I totally get that when you have that level of access to power and secrecy and plausible deniability, that it's magnetic to psychopaths and sociopaths, and that you're going to have a contingent of them in there that is just related to corruption. I totally get that.
Yeah.
But that's also the sort of stuff that it seems like, tried to recognize as a thing and try to figure out how to turn into a national security asset.
Yeah. Yeah. Gang violence and war zones are money machines. Yeah. Yeah, they are. They are. And I mean, look, war there's, all about that now, like how much money there is to be made off of
well, and it's always tied. Like in the case of a lot of these guys going down to South America, they're paying for the drugs in guns. Mm-hmm. Like they're taking a plane load of firearms. Until 1986, anybody that could pass a background check could buy a machine gun.
Yeah,
they were a lot more prolific. It was easier to get a hold of the base, like the basis of a machine gun, have it converted or whatever. A lot of times they're taking some really heavy weaponry down to South America and bringing back all of this cocaine.
Yeah. Yeah. Makes sense. I mean, and
it really amps up around 79. Yeah. Before that, the main things as street drugs in America are marijuana, which they're associated with, the biggest importer out there, and PCP.
Yeah.
Like people start doing cocaine on the street once crack comes around. But even before that, they're doing freebase. It's trickling in. People are starting to get a taste for it.
Yeah.
Well, it's because these guys are coming back with this stuff in payment because it makes them so much more money by volume than marijuana. It's easier to transport because it doesn't have the odor.
When I think of it in a certain way, it feels like a Nazi ideology, like a Nazi scientist's wet dream. Like, okay, cool, now I get to potentially have populations that devolve into violence and have drug issues.
Well, and for a lot of people, do PCP and fight fist fight Pablo's hippos.
Fuck yeah, I'll smash through those bitches. Raw! I fucking bring the iron fist on them hippos.
For the people who sympathized with the Nazis in our culture and government, who were associated with our government, it was nothing but a win for them. They're going to bring back cocaine so that they can break apart the Black Power movement in America. Yeah.
Yeah, they want to actually, and just spur racial tension all around it. That also feeds these stay-behind groups.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? All of this feeds the
it feeds if there's a strategy of tension going on, it feeds the national security apparatus so it can get stronger and have more laws over your life.
Yeah.
More surveillance and more ability to just basically say, oh, well, they're a national security threat, or they're a drug smuggler, so they're a terror threat now.
Yeah. With illicit drug trade by like intelligence agency cowboys, you could functionally tighten every string on the guitar, and each string on the guitar I'm talking about is each thread of conspiracy we've talked about on this program so far.
Yeah,
is from every angle of fucking conspiracy is heightened and funded and better off with this happening.
Look, by volume, if you're having to transport things, nothing makes you more money than drugs and guns.
That's true.
Nothing.
Then nothing. I mean, and that's going to be, when you get into South America, it's going to be what some people are wanting. You know what I mean? It's not just that you're supplying a demand. That's literally what they're trading in.
Oh yeah. Well, and that's because when all of this starts off is when the OSS with Mitch Warbell and all those other guys in 44 are in China trying to help Chiang Kai-shek. I'm sure I butchered that name, but it's the head of China at that point, who they eventually fought back to Taiwan.
Yeah,
right. Yeah, they're in tight with them, and for everything they do for him, he's paying them in 5-pound sacks of opium. See? And so, like, to get the money out of it, they have to flip the opium.
You have certain things you can't back your economy on, but are still a resource.
Yeah,
that your nation has, and it'd be silly not to indulge in that, or get your own slice of that. I mean,
oh, absolutely. Well, and you've got to understand that Chiang Kai-shek was running a totalitarian state that had concentration camps against political enemies and was running execution camps. It was as bad as the Nazis were.
Yeah.
But that was the guy we were going to get us to help fight Japan, because that's who was next to them and who was fighting Japan.
Yeah. Okay.
So when the Communist Revolution happens, it's sort of not surprising that people were fed up of being under that type of regime. It's also not surprising that the Soviet Union threw a ton of money at them.
Yeah. Goddamn Soviet Union. The gosh darn Soviet Union. I'm still mad at communists all the time. I know that probably sounds hyper-American of me, but...
Oh, yeah.
I just, believe in capitalism, and don't like commie nonsense.
Sounds like a bunch of commie gobbledygook.
Some commie gobbledygook. That's I don't roll that way.
Hey, look, I'm not saying that you shouldn't be able to start a commune. In fact, you should start a commune.
Yeah, go.
If you believe in communism, go buy some land, start a commune, pool your resources, prove it.
Yeah, prove it. Yeah, go be smelly and live in a yurt together. Do it. Do it. Tell me it doesn't fucking suck. Tell me you don't miss Netflix. Fuck that. I'm dressed like that, this, saying that. Say, yeah, fuck a commune. Look like I have one. No, my commune, we caravan to drive-through places. But
everybody pays for the food of the person behind them.
Yeah. Do we have a little hint or teaser? Do we know yet what the topic is for next week?
I haven't really stumbled across anything directly for next week yet. I have been doing a fair amount of reading, as usual, on all the weird shit associated with JFK, because for some reason, this weird national security apparatus really wanted that dude dead.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to potentially do some more long-form stuff with the Tattered map if, we can potentially shoot into the evenings now soon.
Yeah.
Start having some weekends where we can really burn that midnight oil, potentially. And I'm hella pumped about that.
I just thought it was important to go ahead and get the story about these three guys, basically.
Oh, yeah.
There's so much more to this story, guys. I could never have even tried to correlate it in one conversation here.
Oh, yeah.
Plenty of it's available if you'll do a little reading. Try not to get caught too much in fluff pieces about the upcoming movie.
Yeah,
start with the wikis of everybody involved.
Yeah.
Because it really, really is wild how all of these people who are often associated with the most upper echelons of social power in even a place like Kentucky. And maybe we shouldn't be saying a place like Kentucky. Maybe that's sort of the takeaway here, is that even in what we would call a place like Kentucky, man, these things are so common and were so common during this time period. We talk about social unrest that's happening today, a fair amount. It comes up. Because people are tired of being treated this way by a bunch of rich folks.
Yeah.
And it's important to understand that it's not just because they're rich. I'm not being an apologist here. I'm saying that there are networks in place of people who've been associated through both their families and politically.
Yeah.
And they don't give a shit about the laws of the land. It's rules for thee, not for me.
Yep.
And these are quite often the people who really, truly seem to have power. And all we ever hear about it is a hip Hollywood movie about a cocaine bear.
That's true. Yeah.
Like, because at the end of the day, that's the least important part of this story, but it's definitely the bit that hooks me.
Yeah. It is like a mythic thing to add to a story, and a good example of like adding a mythos to a fucking story to make it total. Like, is it something that you can't? It's not going to escape.
I bet.
Death.
I bet Waylon Jennings bought that bear for a reason, and that would be an interesting story maybe for us to go on. You know.
Well, look, this is an era. If we're
at least we could watch party that fucking Tales from the Tour Bus.
Well, let's talk about an episode where maybe we talk about specifically times where we suspect the government has attached a mythos to something where it doesn't belong, and I have a lot of stories of record labels attaching mythos to like records. That's not fucking true. It's just to sell records.
Yeah.
To make it something that's this mythic purchase.
Well, and I would say the entertainment industry, because of all the practice, is the best at that, at understanding how to make nothing resonate.
Yeah.
Like, guys, I make music. Music is nothing. I'm not trying to devalue it. Put some music in your hand.
Yeah.
Like, I understand the power music has, totally. I'm not trying to devalue it. But they take something and then give you a recording of it with a bunch of art to make it resonate, and a whole mythos behind every record. It's kind of the point that as record producers, if you grew up in the era of physical records, you would just intrinsically assume there's a whole package associated with the record, even if it's just some photo shots of the band.
There's too with music. It's like every other artistic expression. It's a lot. It's there is an element you can put in your hand, but it's written. What we're talking about is an oral expression, right?
Yeah.
So you have. I forgot what brought me on to music.
Well, music is the art of right damn now.
Yeah, I mean
that's really what gets me. Is music is the art of parsing time. It's making time really interesting by changing the vibratory time of air.
Yeah,
that's it. And you can only appreciate music right now, or sort of hazily in your memory.
I mean, there's pieces you can remember. There's sheet, there's times where I get just as much out of checking out the sheet music as I do actually listening to the composition in whole.
Oh yeah,
like Hamilton's one of those plays for me where there's little subtle things in the sheet music that are genuinely funny. Like he's using that language to tell jokes sometimes, and that's like a Frank Zappa move if we're talking composers.
That's one of those things that builds the mythos to the other myth makers.
Yeah.
And builds the myth of the myth maker to us.
Yes.
Like and when we talk about music for musicians, right? That's a lot of what I tend to do, and that's not a snooty thing. It's just that the stuff I personally, if you just left me alone without Murk here telling me, hey, dumb that down, or hey, let's just slit that riff's throat, I'm going to make some out there stuff designed solely to impress myself.
Yeah. Stuff that like a niche pocket of musicians are going to...
Yeah, and a niche pocket of musicians are going to get it.
Yeah,
they'll get it because they understand all of the subtlety involved with the actual form of composition.
Yeah.
But your average person who doesn't know that, and it's like expecting people to get a joke built into architecture.
Yeah. Well, there's certain time, like there's things where it's like a joke in architecture in a draft.
Yeah.
It's gonna be hilarious around the office.
Yeah.
A joke in architecture, once it's fully up there, has gone through 8 levels of compromise and is now outwardly a joke for everybody.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, and I feel like sometimes with music you have to find that balance. There's times where like Zappa's my favorite composer. Probably of all time, definitely the biggest influence on me, and the way he'll insert a joke in his sheet music is sometimes subtle callbacks to funnier old songs he has.
Right.
Where he's made a verbal reference, but again, what is the verbal reference that he's making in the sheet music? Like, what's the lyric? And the lyric is this dumbed down spoken thing.
Right.
Like, he has this way of, like, transposing what his band's doing through his voice sometimes, where he's like, and hey, Mr. Green Jeans theme.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I feel like there's a balance between it, like where you can still.
Oh well, I don't think that it's either or.
Yeah.
Like I want to be clear.
Yeah.
Well, one is a joke for the audience.
Yeah.
The other is a joke for the performer.
Yeah.
Sometimes things can be lost too. It's very hard for me to dumb down a really intelligent joke.
Yeah, I like fucking with my band. Like, that's my thing.
Well,
if I know I got a guitar player coming, I might leave a drum track and behind the scenes where I'm like, this one's weird, I don't know if you'll like it, wink wink.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, let me hear it. Cut to some Tylenol and a forearm cramp later, you know what I mean? Like, there's this... but that's like a joke for the band.
And what's anybody else going to see? Just a tight band,
just a tight ass band.
Like they're not gonna recognize that because they don't have the point of reference. And it's not that we're smarter; we just have a point of reference, and that becomes a joke.
Yeah,
and it can be hard to express. And when you get so caught up in only writing something that's designed for that, then which is what I err on, because 90% of the time I was just me alone in a bedroom with a guitar.
Yeah. You get to a point in the biz, too, where you keep doing the kind of out there things for you. You still make the jokes with your musicians you like to play with, but, like, there isn't, at the end of the day, here's the numbers in front of you.
Right.
Like, here's what fucking sells. After a certain amount of, like, grinding, you see what sells more than other shit. And that influences kind of how you move forward. And if it doesn't, that doesn't make you a sellout doing that.
No,
that makes you a successful person.
What are you trying to do with your time too? Because like most of what I'd been doing was not to try and grind for anyone else. It wasn't a form of communication, really.
Yeah.
It was just a form of externalization.
Yeah.
And it was a feedback loop to myself. As opposed to actual communication.
Yeah, once I got to a certain amount of hours with my music, it kind of became a fuck you pay me thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I put out a lot of stuff.
I went through being primed for a touring type setup, and then that as soon as I was really ready for it, no longer being an option.
Yeah.
So adjusting to the modern world of how you have to produce music.
Well, when you're starting a new project, right, it's nice to have something already aggregated when you hit that tour just for back-end shit in case your trailer full of t-shirts gets stolen.
Yeah.
Like there's weird new things to the game all the time with music production. Which, speaking of, I'm going to rig it up probably here this afternoon, a way to start seriously doing some live music on the show. We're going to be playing some guitar, some keyboard, got a sampler out. It's going to be fucking smooth as shit.
Oh, I can't wait to get my guitar back from Bo.
Oh, so I'm pumped for our... man, we're going to get some vocals wrapped up on the Paraduma records, at least the first one. We'll use this fucking mic, I don't care. We'll put some foam around it, we're just going to go ahead and knock it out. Because I want that shit out. Wintertime is showing back up, and this record's perfect for glacial winters that the rest of the country's dealing with. And we'll pretend...
that's great.
Yeah, we'll pretend like we're in winter, but we're actually under palm trees and shit, being useless male lions. Yeah, duo jams. Yeah, no, we're gonna get down. What was that?
Just roaring on the rock.
Just roaring on the rock, baby. Just that straight up. It's like a hot day today in Arizona. Like it's fucking hot.
Warm.
Like hot.
I'm in shorts for a reason. It's hot.
It's fucking gorgeous. But let's go ahead and wind her on down, man. Justin, it's been a pleasure. I'm glad you're off work, baby. You're almost to Friday. Do you have the weekend off?
Oh yeah.
Fuck yeah, man. That's the best. I'm excited for the stream tomorrow. Again, no more plans. It's just open combos. We can talk about whatever. It's gonna be great.
I'm thrilled.
We're just gonna hang out. We're gonna hang out on Friday. It's gonna be Friday. What the fuck anyone else got going on? If you're at work, tune in, baby. Throw that shit up on your desk. Let's hang out. Talk about how big of a fucking cloud you're gonna puff once you get off. But I'm gonna hop up out of Discord, Justin, again. It's been a pleasure, my dude.
Oh.
And everybody else out there, it's been the Tattered Map. We now have a dedicated playlist to the Tattered Map on the front of the YouTube page. Everything's going to start going into Murk daily. So if you find an episode you like, I'm going to do my best to keep timestamping everything for the day that we do the daily stream, like the 5-hour daddy. And then we're going to have like a, like the Tattered Map and any other kind of shows or podcasts we spring up. We're just going to keep adding playlists, baby.
Works for me.
Yeah. So if anybody has an idea for a show they'd like to do with me or something they have throughout the week they'd like to try, I'm here, baby. I'll put it on my channel. All right. Any final thoughts?
Nah, man. Y'all watch out for stay behind armies. Watch out, they're out there. They're gonna gang stalk you.
Don't join a cult.
Don't. It's a
join
bad
a
plan.
cult.
Unless it's my cult. I'm starting a cult.
If you feel like joining a cult, just get a mug from the merch store. Get a Merkness mug. I think we've still got the merch store limited edition stuff going. It's about to close down though, so we're about to be done with the Merc stuff. The limited edition Merkness stuff. I'm only keeping it until we send out the lottery winners.
Right.
And then it's gone. The lottery winners go get some Merkness swag, and then it's gone. Anyway, peace, bitches.